So, question number 1. So guys, and the first few questions are very, very easy. So I'm going to ask you guys to answer it in the chat, okay? So we need to simplify m to the power of 2, then to the power of 3. So we have m to the power of 2, then to the power of 3. What is going to be the answer? So we have two powers together. So when we have two powers together, you multiply the powers. So well done. If you got m to the power of 6, okay, it's m to the power of 6. This is higher, guys. Higher paper. Today we're doing higher paper, okay? So part B is to simplify x to the power of 5 times x to the power of 8. So what will be the answer? So whenever we're multiplying powers with the same base, you add the powers. So what will be our simplified answer? So when you add, if you do 5 plus 8, you will get 13. It's going to be x to the power of 13. And that will be your answer, x to the power of 13. And now, part C is to expand 4p, that in brackets, p squared plus 3p. So whenever we're expanding, you know that we have to multiply the number on the outside by every single term on the inside. So we are going to do 4p times by p squared. 4p times by p squared is going to give us 4p to the power of 3. 4p cubed. Because a p times a p squared is going to give us p to the p cubed. And then we're going to do 4p times 3p, which will give you 12p squared. Now, as you know, that we cannot simplify this any further because they are not like terms. So that's going to be our most simplified answer, 4p cubed plus 12p squared, okay? And that will be your answer. So well done for getting that correct. This first page was worth 4 marks. So, guys, do not forget to follow us at live every single day. So give a thumbs up in the chat, ready to move on. So let's move on to question number 2. Johnny wants to know how much coffee he will need for 800 people at a meeting. Each person who drinks coffee will drink 2 cups of coffee. 10.6 grams of coffee is needed for each cup of coffee. Johnny assumes 68% of the people who will drink coffee. Using this assumption, work out the amount of coffee Johnny needs. Give your answer correct to the nearest gram. So we know that there are going to be 800 people. There are going to be 800 people in the meeting. So we need to know how much each person will drink. So it says Johnny assumes that 68% of the people will drink coffee. Remember, guys, this is a calculator paper, so you can use a calculator. So we're going to do 68% of 800. So we're going to do 68 over 100 times by 800. So 68% of 800 will be, if you put this into a calculator, it's going to be 544 people. So Johnny assumes that 544 people will drink coffee. Now we need to work out how much coffee he actually needs in grams. So we have to do 10.6 grams times by 2, because that is how much one person will drink. So 10.6 grams times by 2 will give you 21.2 grams. 21.2 grams of coffee drank by one person. Now, once we have done that, we have to work out the amount of coffee Johnny needs. So then we have to multiply both of our answers. So you have to do 544. That is the amount of people times by 21.2, which is the amount of coffee one person drinks. And then you put it in your calculator and you get an answer of 11,532.8. So then that will be your final answer. 11,532.8 grams. So actually, I didn't read the full question. It says the nearest gram. It says the nearest gram, so it's going to be 11,533. Okay, so always read the question, nearest gram. So, now part B of the question. Johnny's assumption is wrong. 72% of the people will drink coffee. How does this affect your answer? How does this affect my answer? Guys in the chat, tell me, how does this affect my answer? Will I need more coffee or will I need less coffee? More or less coffee? Tell me in the chat. Yes. Johnny will need more coffee, okay? And I spelled Johnny wrong, but it's okay. So well done. He will need more coffee. And this question is worth 5 marks. Very, very easy 5 marks to get. Very, very, very easy. Now give a thumbs up in the chat to move on to our next question if you're ready to move on to our next question. Yes, guys, this is higher paper. And do not forget to follow. I do both foundation and higher paper. Okay, let's move on to our next question. Question number 3. This is paper free higher, guys. So you can use a calculator. And this is Edexcel. So, we have question number 3. ACF and ADG are straight lines, as you can see. BCD and EFG are parallel lines. They're parallel lines over here. So show that triangle ACD, so this triangle over here, ACD, is an isosceles triangle. You have to give a reason for each stage of your working. So, first of all, we can work out the angle of this angle. We can work out the angle of this angle right here. So this angle is angle BCA. So BCA is what, guys? In the chat, tell me, what is this angle? I'll give you a clue. It's corresponding angle. So BCA is 125 degrees. So well done, because they are corresponding. So I'm going to write that corresponding. So then once we worked out this is 125 degrees, so then we can work out what this triangle, which this angle is. So if a angle in a straight line add up to 180 degrees, what will be this angle right here? What will be angle ACD? ACD. Yes, we're going to do 180 minus 125, which will give you 55 degrees. And write angles in a triangle add up to 180 degrees. Add to 180 degrees. So I'm at 55 degrees here. So to prove that this triangle over here is an isosceles triangle, we have to prove that two of its angles are equal. So now we can also work out this specific angle over here. So what is this angle in the chat? Tell me, what is angle ADC? What is ADC? Yes, guys, well done. It's 70 degrees. But we're going to do 180 minus 70 degrees. Not 70 degrees. 180 minus 110 degrees, which will give you 70 degrees. And it's going to be the same explanation as this one. So angles add to 180 degrees in a straight line. So now once we have done that, we know that this is 70 degrees. So then finally, to work out what this specific angle over here is, this angle right here, we know that angles in a triangle add up to 180 degrees. Angles in a triangle add up to 180 degrees. So we can work out what angle CAD is. CAD. Look at what that is. So what is angle CAD, guys, in the chat? Tell me. So if angles in a triangle add up to 180 degrees, we're going to do 180 minus 55 plus 70. And then you would get, yes, guys, it will be 55 degrees. So this angle is going to be 55 degrees. I'm going to write triangles add up to 180 degrees. I just wrote that short, in like a short version, because I don't have space. So then we've proven that this is an isosceles triangle. How do we prove it? That at the end we can just write two angles are equal. Two angles are equal. Then we write therefore it is an isosceles triangle. So well done, guys, for getting that correct. It's a very, very easy 5-marker question. They gave you a 5-marker question for question number 3. So that was you just need to know your angle rules, corresponding angles in a triangle. So well done, guys, for getting that correct. So if you have any questions, ask me in the chat. This is paper-free, guys, paper-free calculator. So you can actually use a calculator, okay? And this is Edexcel. So let's move on to our next question. So question number 4. So it takes 14 hours for 5 identical pumps to fill a water tank. How many hours would it take 4 of these pumps to fill another water tank of the same size? So how much will it take? So what we need to do is that we are going to do 14 times by 5. We're going to do 14 times by 5. 14 times 5, which will give you 70, okay? It will give you 70. Then that is the hours needed to fill the tank. That is how many hours it would take one of the pumps to take. And then we're going to do 70 divided by 4. 70 divided by 4, because there are 4 pumps. Then they will take them 17.5 hours. Guys, remember you have a calculator for this, so you can just put in your calculator 17.5 hours. 17.5 hours is the answer. So that was 2 marks question, 2-mark question. What topic is question 4? I think it should be like I actually don't know the question. I don't know the topic. So in the chat, if you know what the topic is, please tell the chat if you know. You do not round this answer. You do not round it, okay? You do not round it. This is higher paper. Then give a thumbs up in the chat, ready to move on to our next question. Okay, let's move on to our next question. Question number 5. So, A and B are numbers such that A is equal to 2 squared times 3 to the power of 4 times by 7. And then B is equal to 3 squared times 7 squared. Find the highest common factor, HCF, of A and B. Find the highest common factor. So you guys should know that whenever we have a number and we have its product of its prime factors, we know that we have to use the Venn diagram method when we're trying to find the lowest common multiple or the highest common factor. So we're gonna draw our 2 circles like that, and then we have our number A over here and number B over here. Now in the middle, you write the common numbers. As you know, that there is 1 7 common in both of them. There is 1 7 common in both of them. and then there are two threes common as well. There are two threes common, okay? And then after we have done that, we're gonna put our rest of the numbers either in the letter A or the letter B. So there's two twos left over here, and then we have two threes left as well. And then for the category B, we only have 1 7 left, and you put it there. Now, once we have done that, to work out the highest common factor, what we need to multiply all the numbers in the middle, okay? All the numbers in the intersection. Yes, for the highest common factor, guys, you multiply every single number in our intersection. So we just do 3 times 3 times 7. So you do that in your calculator and you get 63. It's 63. So what if we got 63, guys? Why is it not add? Because whenever you're trying to find the highest common factor, you always multiply, okay? Why is it not 2 7s? So it's not 2 7s because there's only 1 7 common in A, and for B there are 2 7s common like that. So you can only take, there's only 1 7 common in both, so you only take that 1 7 in the middle, and then the other 7 goes into category B, where it's just there alone, okay? Now, for part B, we need to find the lowest common multiple, LCM of A and B. To find the lowest common multiple, what do we do to every single number? Tell me in the chat, what do we do, guys, to find the lowest common multiple by using our Venn diagram? So what do we do to every single number? Yes, you multiply every single number in the Venn diagram. So you would just do 2 times 2. So you would do 2 times 2 times 3 times 3. That is every single number in A. And then times by 7 times 3 times 3, and then times 7. So times every single number in our Venn diagram. Do not times every single number over here. If you times every single number over here, you'll get a wrong answer. Only times every single number in our Venn diagram, okay? Remember, Venn diagram, because it takes account of the common numbers as well. So then once you have done that, you would do, then it will just be 15,876 if you put it into your calculator, and that will be your answer, 15,876, okay? So well done for getting that correct. 15,876, and this question was worth 3 marks for the highest common factor and the lowest common multiple. So, how do you find that question, guys? How do you find it? So this was the paper 2023. This was 2023 paper. 2023 paper, okay? So let's do our next question, question number 6. So we have question number 6. Lava flows from a volcano at a constant rate of 11.9 meter cubes per second. How many days does it take for 67,255,600 meter cube of lava to flow from the volcano? Give your answer correct to the nearest day. Remember, nearest day. Just let you know. So, we need to work out how much lava it takes to flow for a second. So we have to do 67,205,600 divided by 11.9 to find out how many seconds it takes this lava to flow. Okay? So then once you put this into the calculator, it will take this lava 56,000. It will take 5647529.4. So that is, let's see, it's 5,647,529.4 seconds. Okay. So we just worked out the number of seconds it takes this much of lava, okay? This much of lava. How much it takes this much of lava to flow in seconds, okay? We do not do the cube root, guys. You do not do the cube root because these two are the same units. They have the same cubed unit, so we do not have to cube root it. Now we have to basically now convert our seconds. We now have to convert the seconds into basically days, okay? How do we know it's minutes? How do we know it's seconds? Is because our unit over here is S, and S stands for seconds, okay? So now we're going to convert our seconds into minutes, then hours, and then our days. So now we're going to do 5,000. So we're going to do 5,647,529.4. So that's going to be 5,647,529.4 divided by 60. There's 60 seconds in a minute. So we're going to divide it by 60, okay? So then when you put this into your calculator, you get 94,125 minutes. Okay? And then you're going to divide by another 60 because in 1 hour there are 60 minutes. So then you're going to do 94,125 divided by 60 to get 1,568.758, and then it keeps on recurring, okay? And then lastly, you have to divide this answer by 4. So you will have 1,568.7 divided by 24 to get 65 days, okay? 65 days, and that is just going to be your answer, okay? 65 days. And remember, we need to round it. We are rounding this, so you basically get a long decimal, then you round it to the nearest day, okay? Yes, we are dividing by 24. We are dividing by 24, guys. 24. Because there are 24 hours in a day. That is why we are dividing by 24. Okay? That's how we got 65 days. It doesn't have to be 0.7. You can do 0.76, but the point is that you have to round this number and then you divide it by 24 to get a long answer, and then you have to round this number into a whole number, into a whole day. Okay? Where did the 60 come from? Okay. So the whole point of this question is to convert this seconds into minutes, then into hours, and then into days. That's the whole point we are doing this, okay? So there is 60 seconds in a minute. That's why we divide by 60. Now there is 60 minutes in 1 hour. That's why we divide by 60 again. Now there are 24 hours. There are 24 hours in 1 day, and that's why we're dividing by 24 to get our final answer in days. This question is worth 3 marks, guys. 3 marks. So, let's move on to our next question, guys. Question number 7. So here is the graph of y is equal to x squared minus 2x minus 2. Write down the coordinates of the turning point on the graph of y is equals to x squared minus 2x minus 2. Now, when it says the turning point, it's when it kind of turns. So over here, this is when it starts to change, like it starts to turn, okay? So it's always the same one, okay? So what is the coordinate of this specific point when it turns, okay? When it turns. So it's going to be 1 and negative 3. So the x-axis is 1 and the y-axis is negative 3. So when it's 1 and minus 3, literally, that's not hard. And then it says, write down an estimate for one of the roots of x squared minus 2x minus 2 is equal to 0. It says one of the roots. So there's always two roots, but you only have to give one, okay? You only have to give one. So when it means the roots, now I want to tell you what roots mean. When it says give one of the roots, it just means the value the value when it crosses the x-axis, the x-intercept, okay? The x-intercept. So when it crosses the x-axis. So basically, when it touches the x, this is the 2 points when it touches the x-axis. Now it says only give one, so you can give either value. So you can either give minus 0.7 or 2.7. So you guys probably can't see it because it's kind of zoomed out, but you if you have the real exam, you can look closely. It's 2.7 and minus 0.7 when it intercepts or it touches the x-axis, okay? So that was worth 2 marks. This is higher paper, guys. Higher paper 3 calculator. So basically, you guys already know that papers always start easy to give you the momentum, and then they get very, very, very hard. So don't think this paper is going to be a bit easy. So let's move on to question number 8. Question number 8. So a solid cuboid is made of metal. A solid cuboid is made of metal. The metal has a density of 9 grams per centimeter cubed. The volume of the cuboid is 72 centimeter cubed. Work out the mass of the cuboid. Work out the mass of the cuboid. So in the chat, tell me, what's the formula for density that you should know? What is the formula for density? So density is equal to what? Yes, well done. Density is equal to mass divided by its volume. Mass divided by its volume. So we have to work out the mass. So we have to rearrange this formula. So you basically just have to multiply by the volume. So its mass is just going to be the density multiplied by its volume. Now we worked out how to work out the mass. Now the density, we know the density is 9 and the volume is 72. You just multiply them together. Then when you multiply them together with your calculator, you'll get 648 grams, and that is the mass of the cuboid. 648 grams is your answer. So well done for getting that correct. 648 grams. So, question number 9. Some people were asked if they wanted a new television. 70% of the people said yes. 80% of the people who said yes wanted a television with a large screen. What percentage of the people asked said they wanted a television with a large screen? So when you have this type of question, this is when you multiply, okay? This is multiplication, okay? So this is a probability. So if we convert 70% into a decimal, that'll be 0.7. And then if you convert 80% into decimal, that will be 0.8. Now to work out the percentage of people who asked they wanted a television with a large screen, you would use 0.7 is the amount of people that wanted a television, and then times it by 0.8, which was the percentage of people who wanted it with a large screen. When you multiply them together, you get 0.56. Now in the chat, tell me, how will you convert? What is 0.56 converted as a percentage? What is 0.56 as a percentage? Yes, guys, it's 56%. Well done. So you basically just multiply by 100. Multiply by 100. So you're going to get 56%. That was an easy 2-mark question. Very, very easy. So give a thumbs up in the chat if you're ready to move on to our next question. And guys, do not forget to follow. I do live daily, every single day. I do foundation and higher. I do both papers. So you're welcome. So let's move on to our next question, question number 10. So ABD is a triangle. ABD is a triangle. C is the point on BD. C is the point on BD. Work out the length of DC. Work out the length of DC. So DC is this one over here. So we're trying to find this length over here, x degrees. Give your answer correct to one decimal place. So basically what we need to do is to work out this side over here. Work this side over here. And when we worked out this length, then we're going to work out this. So if we're trying to work out this specific length, so I'm labeled it as y, I labeled it y. So I'm going to label the side because we're going to use trigonometry for this question, guys. Trigonometry. So this is the hypotenuse, the longest side, hypotenuse. And then this is the opposite side, okay? The opposite side. It depends on this angle. So it's opposite angle. Now, which ratio are we going to be using? We're going to be using the sine rule. So the sine rule. So if you guys do not remember if you do not remember which ratio to use, you can use the acronym SOHCAHTOA. And then we know we're going to be using a sine rule. So it's going to be sine theta, which is equal to opposite, which are opposite divided by the hypotenuse. And that is our formula, okay? Now let's substitute our values into the formula to work out our missing value of y. So we have sine 41 degrees, which is equal to opposite, which is our y, divided by 6.8. Now, once we have done that, we need to work out the value of y, so we're going to rearrange our equation to find out the value of y. To rearrange this equation, we're going to multiply by 6.8 from both sides. So to work out the value of y, it's going to be y is equal to 6.8 and then sine 41 degrees. Okay? Sine 41 degrees. Now, once we have done that, when you put this into your calculator, it says give it to one decimal place. But for now, I'm going to do it to 2 decimal places. I'm going to put 4.46, okay? 4.46. Yes, it's going to be 6.8 times by sine 41 degrees. Now, if you put this together in your calculator will automatically know that you have to multiply. Okay? Now, the thing is, if you're getting -1 degrees and you put this into your calculator, if you put this into your calculator and you're getting -1 degrees, you have to reset your calculator, guys. That's why people get good trigonometry questions wrong. You have to reset your calculators if you're not getting 4.46. Okay? Are we given the sine, the theta is equal to opposite side of the hypotenuse? We are not given this formula. You have to remember this formula, guys. Remember this formula. If you do not know this formula, you have to remember it. That's why we have this acronym over here to remember it. So now, let's replace our y over here with 4.46. So this is 4.46 now. Now we need to finally find the value of x. The value of x. So what is the value of x? So if we're trying to find the value of x, what ratio are we now going to be using? What are we going to be using? Are we going to be using sine, tan, or cos? Yes, we're going to be using our tan ratio, guys. Well done. So the formula for tan is tan then theta, which is our angle, is equal to opposite divided by our adjacent. So then let's quickly label our side. So we know that this is our opposite side and this is our adjacent. So then you substitute our values in. So we have tan 55 degrees is equal to our opposite angle, opposite side, which is 4.46 divided by x. 4.46 divided by x. Now, once we have done that, we're going to rearrange this to get the value of x. When you want to rearrange this, you basically times by x, then divide by tan 55. So you're going to end up with x is equal to 4.46 divided by tan 55 degrees. Then to find the value of x, you put this into your calculator. Then to one decimal place, you get 3.1. Okay, so your final answer is 3.1, guys. 3.1. 3.1 centimeters is your final answer, guys. So well done for getting that correct. How do you reset your calculator? So it depends on what calculator you have. So it's normally shift and then a number. It's normally shift and then a number. For my calculator, it's shift 9. Shift 9, I think, for my specific calculator. So let's move on to our next question. So, question number 11. So, if you don't get trigonometry, you should always practice trigonometry, okay? Question number 11 is the table shows some information about the height of group of adults. On the grid, draw a box plot for the information in the table. So, whenever we're drawing box plots, first of all, we have two lines. We have two vertical lines. So we're going to be one at 169. So we're going to look at our greatest and the least height. The greatest height and the least height. So the greatest height is at 186. So we're going to label 186 over here at the greatest height. So 186 is going to be right here. And guys, do not forget to use a ruler. Then once we have done that, that's our greatest height done. And then our least height is going to go at 169 centimeters. Is going to be right here. 169. Now, once we have done that, now we have to draw our box like this. This box over here, how do we draw it? In the chat, are you guys familiar with how to draw box plots? So then, yes, so this line over here is the median. So we have to draw that specific line. So this median over here, this median is 177. So 177 is right here. So I'm going to draw it like that. That's going to be our median line. 177. That is done. Now our upper quartile is going to be this specific line over here. Upper quartile. So you draw that upper quartile. That is going to be 180, so we're going to mark it at 180 like that. And then we've done our upper quarter, and our lower quartile is going to be 174. The 174 is going to go right here. Now, once we have done that, we're going to create our box like that. And then we're just going to connect it like this. And that is our box plot done. Now, as you can see, my lines are a bit wonky, but you guys should know that you should use a pencil and a ruler, because if you make a mistake, then yeah, always use a pencil and a ruler. So once we have done that, the box plot below shows the distribution of the height of a group of teenagers. Compare the distribution of the height of the adults to the distribution height of the teenagers. We have to compare. How do we compare it? So we have to compare like the median value, the upper quartile value, the lower quartile, the least height, and the greatest height. So we can easily, first of all, find out that the adults have a greater median height. So we can write that over here. We can write the adults have a higher median height. Okay, we can first of all write that because that's easy to spot. And then once we have done that, we can also write that the interquartile is the same for both groups. Okay, the interquartile is the same for both groups. How do you work out the interquartile range? Is that you subtract the upper quartile by the lower quartile, so we can work out the interquartile. Okay, yes, the interquartile range is the upper quartile minus the lower quartile, so both of them have the same interquartile range. They have the same interquartile range. Now, so I think that is enough for 2 marks because you only have to write 2 reasons. So 2 comparing answers, that's 2 marks. So, but the whole question was worth 5 marks. So well done, guys, for getting that correct. Easy question for box plots. If you have any questions, please ask me. I'm here to help. And do not forget to follow. And thank you for the gifts, guys. Give a thumbs up if you want to move on to our next question, or if you're ready to move on to our next question. How many questions are there? So there are 24 questions. 24 questions in this whole paper. So I think we're nearly halfway through. So let's move on to question number 12. So we have to show that x minus 1 in brackets, after x plus 3 in brackets, and x minus 5 can be written in the form ax cubed plus bx squared plus cx plus d, where a, b, c, and d are integers. So whenever we have this form is very common, is that it means you just have to expand this triple brackets. So actually, I have a method to do this. So what I would do is that I would multiply these 2 brackets first, and then when you multiply them, then you will simplify. So we have x minus 1, then x plus 3, then x minus 5. So expand these 2 brackets first, and then when we get our results, when we simplify our results, we're going to multiply by this specific bracket. So x times x is going to give us x squared. Then we have x times 3, it's going to give us plus 3x. Then minus 1 times x is going to give us negative x. Then minus 3, and that is our bracket expanded. And then do not forget this bracket over here, which is x minus 5. Now, once we have expanded this specific bracket over here, now what we need to do is that we have to use this and expand it with this bracket. So what I would do is that I would change its order. So I'm going to write it as x minus 5, and then write it as x squared plus 3x minus x minus 3. I feel like this is easier, but before I do that, I'm going to quickly simplify this. So as you can see, if we simplify, we can do 3x minus x. So 3x minus x will give us 2x minus 3. So I just flip these brackets around because this is more easier to expand, because you guys are probably used to expanding from this smaller bracket. So then I'm going to do x times x squared, which is x cubed. X cubed. And then we're going to do x times 2x. It's going to give us plus 2x squared. And then x times 3x, minus 3x is going to give us minus 3x. And then minus 5 times x is going to give us minus 5x squared. And then minus 5 times 2x is going to give us minus 10x. And then we have plus 15 at the end. Okay? And now, once we have done that, what we need to do, we have to simplify this. So as you know, there's only one x cubed in the whole expression. So we're going to leave x cubed right there. And then we're going to do positive 2x squared subtract minus 5x squared. That will give us minus 3x squared. Okay, so we expanded these two out, so I'm going to cross these out. Now we are left with minus 3x minus 10x. So negative 3x subtract by negative 10x. We're going to get minus 13x. So then we're going to cross them out. And then finally we're left with our plus 15. So then that is it, plus 15, like that. And that is literally our final answer, because that is our form ax cubed plus bx squared plus cx plus d. Okay? That was 3 marks question, 3 mark question. So well done. What grade is triple brackets? I think it is grade 7 or 8. Grade 7 or 8, because triple brackets never come on the foundation paper. I've never seen foundation paper get a triple bracket question, okay? So if you know how to expand triple bracket, then that is very, very, very good. Okay? So now, let's move on to our next question, guys. Question number 13. An expression for the nth term of a sequence of triangular numbers is n, then bracket n plus 1 over 2. Prove that the sum of any two consecutive triangular numbers is a square number. So in the chat, tell me if you guys know what a triangular number is. What is a triangular number? What is a triangular number, guys? There has to be someone in the chat who knows what the triangular number is. Who is it going to be? So, what a triangular number is when I search on Google and it says any of the series of numbers 1, 3, 6, 10, and 15 obtained by continuous summation of the natural numbers 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. So what it basically means is that there are numbers when you basically, this is a pattern of triangular numbers, okay? This is a pattern of triangular numbers, and then when you add them, basically you add 2, then you add 3, then you add 4, then you add 5. They are going up like by increments, by equal increments, like 2, 3, 4, 5, then plus 6, then plus 7. These are triangular numbers. So these are triangular numbers, okay? Yes, then it will be 21, then 28. So now, once we have done that, thank you for reaching our live goal. We reached our live goal. Well done. So now, how do we prove it? So to prove this, very, very, very simple. So what we need to do is that we have to, first of all, it says that we have to prove that the sum of any two consecutive prime numbers is a square number. So we have to do this number, which is n, then n plus 1 over 2 plus the next consecutive triangular number. So to get our next consecutive triangular number, that we have to plus a 2, right? You're adding a 2 to get the next consecutive prime number, okay? So we're going to do n plus 2 times by n plus 1 over 2. Because you notice that consecutive prime numbers do plus 1. So you added a plus 1, then you add a plus 2, then a plus 3, then you do a plus 4, plus 5, plus 6, okay? Now, to prove that, we have to add these two fractions up to prove that the sum of two consecutive triangular numbers are a square number. So once we have done that, we have to expand our numerators, okay? Expand our numerators. Yes, can you do n minus 1 as well? You can do it if you want, but you should get n plus 1 squared as your final answer. I'll show you what the final answer should be, okay? So now once you do that, you expand them out, so you're going to get n squared plus n over 2 plus, then you're going to get n squared, then n times 1 is going to be plus n plus 2n plus 2 over 2. Now, once we have done that, what we need to do is that you would first of all, obviously you would simplify this to n squared plus n over 2 plus n squared plus 3n plus 2 over 2. Okay? Now, once we have done that, what we need to do is that we're going to put them together, okay? Because since they have the same denominator, that means we can add them together. So we're going to put these two fractions together. So over here, this will be equal to the same thing as n 2n squared plus 4n plus 2 over 2. So basically, I put them together and we got that. We are about to factorize, guys. We are about to factorize this quadratic. So I'm gonna quickly like rub this part out. This part over here, because I don't have space. So this is 2023 paper. So once you got that, you have to factorize this. So if you want to factorize our numerator, you would have to divide by 2 because our coefficient is 2, right? Our coefficient is 2. You divide by 2 to get n squared plus 2n plus 1. Basically, divide by 2 as you have 2 over here. You divide by 2 to get this, okay? Now we're going to factorize this. This is a quadratic, so this factorizes into a double bracket. Double bracket. So in the chat, tell me, what are going to be the two numbers that go in our double brackets with the x's? What is it going to be? It's going to be x plus, it's going to be, actually I'll put n instead of x because we have n here. It's going to be n plus 1 and then n plus 1. And guys, guess what? They are the same. They are the same bracket, right? They are the same bracket. Now, if they're the same bracket, that means we could write it as n squared, n plus 1 squared. And that is literally proving our answer. That is proving our answer because it says prove that the sum of any two consecutive triangular numbers is a square number. And guess what? We got a bracket with a square. That means it's going to be a square number. Okay? Yes, triangular numbers is like plus 1, plus 2, plus 3, plus 4, plus 5, plus 6, plus 7, and it keeps on going, and then you get those answers, right? Why is it 1 in both? Because when you factorize this, you know that if you do 1 times 1, it will give you 1, but if you do 1 plus 1, you get 2. That's why it's going to be plus 1 and plus 1. Is it not meant to be 1 and 2? No, it isn't. Because if you factorize it, you need to know how to factorize this quadratic. How did I get the second bracket? So guys, as I told you that I didn't have space, I put the answer over here. So I didn't have space and I put this over here. So what I did was that it was n squared plus n plus 2. That basically our first bracket, we expanded this out, right? And then for the second fraction, we did n plus 1, then times by n plus 2 in brackets, because a triangle numbers, you add a 1, then a 2, then a 3, okay? Okay, guys? Give a thumbs up in the chat if you're ready to move on to our next question. And guys, if you don't know what triangle number is, you can go research them, okay? Research, find the definition. Do not search the definition on Google, because if you search the definition on Google, then you will get some weird scientific explanation. Do not search on Google. Search on like some forums or something like that. Okay? So, let's go to our next question. Yes, this is higher paper. So we have this question, guys. Question number 14. OAB is a triangle. It is a triangle. OBC is a sector of a circle. Center is 0. Calculate the area of OBC. Give your answer correct to 3 significant figures. Give your answer correct to 3 significant figures. So, what we need to do is to work out the area of the sector. We have to work out this, the radius. We have to work out the radius of the circle. I'm going to label it R. To work out the radius, what method are we going to be using? So what rule are we going to be using? Are we going to be using the sine rule, the cosine rule, trigonometry, or Pythagoras? And I'm going to give you a clue. Pythagoras and trigonometry only work on right angled triangle. And sine rule, and guys, look over here. As you can see, we are trying to find the radius, guys. So we cannot use the sine rule. We have to use our cosine rule. To work out our missing length, the missing radius. Okay. So the cosine rule is a squared is equal to b squared plus c squared minus 2bc cos a. In the chat, give a thumbs up if you're familiar with this rule. Give a thumbs up if you're familiar with this rule, guys. Give a big thumbs up. So, if you're not familiar with this, you need to learn this, because that's how the only way you can work out the radius of our sector. And guys, do not forget to follow. Do not forget to follow IDB Foundation and higher. So yeah. So we have a squared plus is equal to b squared plus c squared minus tbc cos a. Now, once we have done that, we need to substitute our values in that we already know. So, to work out our a squared, this is our a squared, guys. This is our a squared right here. Our r is our a, okay? Our a squared. So it's going to be r squared is equal to b squared. B is going to be our 9. It's going to be 9 squared plus c squared is going to be 6 squared minus 2, and then our b value is 9, then our c value is 6, then cos 35 degrees, because cos A is an angle 35 degrees. Now, once we have done that, you're going to put this into your calculator. When you put this into your calculator, you'll get r squared r squared is equal to 28.53. 28.53, okay? R squared is equal to 28.53. Now, once you've got r squared, we have to work out r only. So to work out r, you have to do the square root of 28.53, and that will be 5.34 to 3 significant figures. 5.34 to 3 significant figures. So let's quickly label this over here. Replace the r with 5.34 because we worked that out. 5.34. Now, guys, in the chat, tell me, how will we work out the area of our sector, the area of OBC? How will we work it out? So what we need to do is that we have to do 80 degrees. We know that in a circle, angles around a point add up to 360 degrees. So we have to do 80 over 360 degrees times by the area. Now, to times by the area of a circle in total, the area of a circle is pi r squared. The whole point of this thing that we did over here, using a cosine rule, is to find the radius. So we found out a radius. The radius is 5.34, so it's going to be times by pi, then 5.34 squared. 5.34 squared. Now, once we have done that, you're going to put this into your calculator. You're going to get 19.93 significant figures, and that's going to be the area of the sector OBC. So just write your final answer here, 19.9 centimeters squared. 19.9. So well done, guys, for getting that correct. That was worth 4 marks, guys. 4 marks. Very, very, very easy. Give a thumbs up if that question was easy for you. And then also do not forget to follow. There's a lot of people watching today. Probably because it's a Saturday, so. Is the cosine rule in the equation sheet? It is not in the equation sheet. You have to remember the cosine rule. The cosine rule, you just need to know it. So it's just a squared is equal to b squared plus c squared minus tbc cos a. That is the cosine rule. You also need to know your sine rule, your Pythagoras theorem, trigonometry, the area of a triangle. I think last year it was on the equation sheet, because when you don't get the equation sheet, then you don't get the cosine rule, okay? It depends on if you get the equation sheet or not. But just remember it just in case, guys. Remember it just in case. So what is the sine rule? So the sine rule, you don't need the sine rule for this question, but I'm just going to tell you that the sine rule is just a divided by sine a is equal to b divided by sine b. That is just the sine rule, okay? The capital B, the capital letters is, okay, the capital letters is the angles, and the lowercase is the length. Okay, it is in the equation sheet, then that is good for you guys. Don't have to remember it, but so it is in the equation sheet. So I think last year it was on the equation sheet, but the other years, like long time ago, it wasn't in the equation sheet. This is grade, I think it's grade 9. We're getting to the grade 9 stuff, guys. The grade 9 stuff. So let's move on to our next question. So question 15a. Factorize a squared minus b squared. Factorize a squared minus b squared. This is a 1 mark question, so you need to know what is it. So in the chat, tell me, how do you factorize a squared minus b squared? It's a simple rule that you should know. Simple factorization that you should know. It is basically just a plus b, then bracket, and a minus b. That is literally your answer. It's a difference of 2 squares. Correct, Philip. Well done, Philip. It is a difference of 2 squares. It's going to be a plus b, then a minus b. Whenever you have a difference of 2 squares, you just do both of those letters or numbers, then put them into brackets and do a plus on one bracket and then a minus of another bracket. And that is literally your answer. A plus B and then A minus B. Okay? So now, it says show that 2 to the power of 40 minus 1 is the product of two consecutive odd numbers. So, what I would do first, we have to do another question on proving. So, you have to show that 2 to the power of 40 minus 1 is the product of two consecutive odd numbers. So, what you would do first of all is that you're going to simplify this 2 to the power of 40 to 2 to the power of 20, and then add 2 on the outside. Basically, simplify it to 2 to the power of 20, then 2 on the outside. Now, once you have done that, that basically means it is a difference. It means it is a difference of two squares. It's a difference of two squares, okay? So we can write this as 20, 2 over 20 plus 1, and then 2 over 20 minus 1, okay? It's a difference of two squares, so it's going to be like that. Okay? So the whole, we put a 2, so basically we simplify this, 2 to the power of 40, so we can have a power of 2 outside of our 20. So we did that on purpose. So basically now we're ending up with 2 and then 20 to the power of 2 minus 1. This is a difference of two squares because we have a 2 here and a minus 1, okay? That's a difference of two squares. So then we can write this, okay? So then we can write it like this as a difference of two squares. How do you know it's odd? Because we're about to get there, guys. We're about to get there. So we know that 2 to the power of 20 must be even, right? 2 to the power of 20 must be even. How? Because if you do, because anything to the power of 2 is even, right? Anything times in by 2 is even. So then we can just do 2 to the power of 20 minus 1 and 2 to the power of 20 plus 1 are odd numbers. Okay? Are odd numbers. And they are consecutive as well because it's minus 1 plus 1. So they are consecutive. That's how we prove the point. Okay? Can you also do 2 to the power 20 plus 3? I would just do minus 1 and plus 1 because you have to also prove that they are consecutives. They are consecutive, okay? The only way you can prove that they are consecutive is that it's going to be minus 1 plus 1 because minus 1 plus 1 only have a difference of 2. That's why they are consecutives. So basically, what you would just write in the end is write 2 to the power of 20 minus 1 and 2 to the power of 20 plus 1 are consecutive odd numbers. Consecutive odd numbers. And that's how you would prove it. Okay? So well done, guys. That question was worth 3 marks. So if you did 2 to the power 20 plus 1 and 2 to the power 20 plus 3, yes, I think it would work because they're consecutive, because they have a difference of 2, so they're consecutive. That should work. But make sure you have this minus 1, okay, in the thing. So now let's move on to our next question, guys. Next question, question number 16. So we have question number 16. On the grid in large triangle T, by a scale factor of -2 with a center of enlargement 2, -2, and 2. -2 and -2. So how do we do this? So when we are enlarging a shape by a scale factor which is negative, you know that our shape is going to be flipped. When it's a negative, we know that the shape is going to be flipped. First of all, it's going to be flipped. And the enlargement means that enlargement is over here. That is our center of enlargement. Center of enlargement. So then what we are going to do, we are going to quickly draw a straight line. So we're going to I'm going to use a different color pencil or a pen. Then we're just going to draw like a straight line that is touching the center of enlargement that goes like this. Then it also goes straight through like this. And then it also goes straight through like that. Now, once we have done that, now we can easily find out the points. Now, our points should touch these lines should have these 3 points on the triangle, okay? So then if you are increasing by a scale factor of 2, then each of the lengths are going to increase by 2. So our base is going to be 4. So it's going to be from here to here. So it's going to be 4. And then the height is going to be increasing by 2 as well. The perpendicular height is 3. So you're multiplying it by 2. So you're going to get 6 as the height. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. It's going to be right here. And then you're going to quickly connect them to make a triangle like that. And that should be your let me quickly do it again to make it a bit neater. Then you draw it. And that should be your triangle flipped. Make sure it is flipped because -2, you have to flip it, okay? So well done for getting that correct. So if you're confused, okay, I'll quickly go through it again. So the center of enlargement is -2 for the x and -2 for the y. So you plot the center of enlargement. This is our center of enlargement right here. Over here is our center of enlargement. Now, once we have done our center of enlargement, we are going to basically draw a line from this point, touching the center of enlargement and continuing through. So if I'm here and just touching the center of enlargement and going, continuing. And then you do from this point and just continue going through and then like that. And now, once you've done that, these lines we drew is to help us. Why? Because each of our vertices, each of our vertices is going to be on those lines. As you know that this is going to be in this line, over here and over here. As you can see, they're on the line. And the negative scale factor means that our triangle, our shape is going to be flipped 180 degrees, okay? It's going to be flipped. And then it says scale factor of -2, so you have to increase the size of our shape by a factor of 2. So our base is 2. That means over here our base is going to be 4. And our perpendicular height is 3. And our perpendicular height is 6 over here. That means we have enlarged our triangle shape T by the scale factor -2, okay? So give a thumbs up if you now understand. Give a big thumbs up if you understand. So that question was worth 2 marks. Okay. So let's move on to our next question. So is there a break? No, there's no break. Alright, let's do the paper. So what you can do is that you can just eat as well when you are watching this live. No one's watching you, so you can do whatever you want when you're watching this live. So yeah. But I don't take any breaks. I have a water bottle with me that I drink from time to time. This is higher paper. higher paper, guys. So you want me to do bearings. So if bearings, I don't think bearings come up on this paper. Bearings only come on the non-calculator paper. So when we do the non-calculator paper, we can do it. I can make a video for you. So let's just move on to our next question, okay? So we have question number 17. So here is a distance time graph. Find an estimate of the gradient of the graph at time 2.5 seconds. You must show how you got your answer. Find the estimate of the gradient of the line at time 2.5 seconds. You must show all your working. So first of all, to work out the gradient, you need to know the formula, okay? The formula. So to work out the gradient is change in y divided by the change in x. Change in y divided by the change in x. So how will we do this? So the way we do this is to work out the gradient from 2.5. So we have 2.5 over here, 2.5 over here, 2.5 seconds is right here. And then we have to find, yes, we have to write a tangent. We have to do the tangent. To do the tangent at 2.5, 2.5 is right here, so the tangent over here. Okay? So you have to do like a straight line, and it only has to touch like this specific point over here. So from here, draw like a straight line like that. Now, basically, it's supposed to be a straight line. You know it's going to be a straight line, right? So now, the thing is I struggle with doing straight lines in this computer, but like that. Now, once we've done the straight line, you would choose like points, and then when you choose the point, it's going to be, you choose like two coordinates. So the two coordinates that I would choose is going to be 40. It's going to be 4 and 46, and then 2 and 12. Okay, those are two coordinates you can choose. Now it says estimate, so it means that there's going to be a range where you can give your answer to. Okay, there's going to range, so there's no correct answer. There's going to be a range to the answer. Okay, so now once you've got your 2 points, you have to find our change in y and the change in x. So change in y is going to be 46 minus 12, which is going to be 34, and then change in x is going to be 2. So change in y is going to be 34 divided by 2, which is going to be equal to 17. And that's going to be your answer of 17. Now, in the mark scheme, it says the range is from 16 to 20. 16 to 20, so you can give either answer, 16 to 20, okay? So you can give from any range, okay? Yes, my line was wonky, so I actually used the points that were accurate. So it depends on what you draw. So if I draw it more straight, then I would actually get these points. But you guys get what I mean, right? So give a thumbs up if you know what I mean. It just depends on your straight line, but thing is, I don't have a ruler to draw on the computer. Okay? So how did I get 34? Is because I subtracted the y values and the x values to get 34 and 2. So now what does the gradient of the line represent? gradient of the graph represent? What is the gradient of the graph represent, guys? What does the gradient of the line represent? Or the graph represent? It's like a one-word answer. It's a one-word answer. What is the answer? No, the answer is speed, guys. It is speed. Just write speed. It says, what does the gradient of the graph represent? What does it represent? The gradient represents the speed. Why? Because a distance time graph always is the speed, because speed is equal to distance divided by time. That is why it is the speed. Okay? That's why the question is 1 mark, guys. 1 mark question. Okay? So, guys, now we're going to get to the hard questions now. So, now the next question is going to be a 5 mark question. So, give a thumbs up in the chat if you're ready to move on. And don't forget to follow, guys. I think we already passed our live goal. Like, long time ago. Let me change it. Okay. So let's move on to our next question. So question number 18. So, a solid frustum is made by removing a small cone from a large cone as shown in the diagram. The slant height of the small cone is 6 centimeters. The slant height of the large cone is 10 centimeters. The radius of the base of the large cone is 3 centimeters. Calculate the total surface area of the frustum. Give your answer correct to 3 significant figures. So, what we need to do is we have to first of all work out the area of this specific cone that they removed, and then subtract it by the big cone to work out the radius, the surface area. So this is a similar shaped question. That means to work out the radius of this, we have to use a similar shape method. So the similar shapes, they are similar shapes. So we have this. So we have the big triangle. The big triangle has a slanted height of 10, and the small triangle, on the other hand, it has a slanted height of 6. To get from 10 to 6, we have to multiply by 6 over 10. Okay? To get from 10 to 6, we have to multiply by 6 over 10. Okay? Let's remember that. Now, once we have done that, we know that what we need to multiply. What we need to do, we have to work out the radius of the top. Radius of the top. So this specific radius over here, we have to work it out. The radius of the top. The radius of the small cone is going to be 6 over 10 times by the radius of the big circle, which is 3. So remember, you have a calculator, so you can use the calculator. So times it by. So you're going to get 1.8 centimeters. Now that is the radius of this top. So that's going to be the radius over here. So let me replace it with the radius of 1.8 over here, 1.8. Now we're going to work out the total surface area, the curved surface area of the cone. Now we are given the formula for the curved surface area. To work out the curved surface area, we're going to use the formula. So the curved surface area of the big cone is equal to pi, then the radius of the big cone, which is 3, then the length, the slanted height, which is 10. Okay. Now, when you simplify this, when you simplify this, that will just be 30 pi. Now, the curved surface area of the big cone. Now, we're going to work out the curved surface area of the small cone. So the curved surface area of the small cone is going to be equal to pi, and then the radius is going to be 1.8 of the small cone, and then the slanted height is 6, as I told you in the question. And then when you put this into your calculator, you can get, in terms of pi, 54 over 5 pi. That is what you would get in terms of pi. 54 over pi. Over 5 pi. That is what you'll get in terms of pi. Now, once you've gotten that, now to work out the curved surface area of the frustum, the curved surface area of the frustum, what we're going to do is that we are going to do 30 pi, the surface area of the big circle minus the surface area of the small circle, which will give you 96 over 5 pi. Okay, that is what you will get. That is the curved surface area of the frustum. Now, that is not a final answer because it says to find the total surface area of the frustum. So you do not want to forget about the top over here, this part over here, and the bottom part over here. To work out the top and bottom part, you just have to use the formula of pi r squared and the radius. Okay, the area of the base, so the area of base is just going to be pi r, then pi r squared is going to be pi, then the radius is going to be 3 squared. That's going to be 9 pi, okay? And then we're going to do the area of the top. Area of the top, which is going to be pi, then 1.8 squared. When you put this into a calculator, you'll get 81 over 25 pi, okay? Let me quickly do that again. 81 over pi, okay? 81 over 25 pi. And then to work out our total surface area, what we need to do is that we need to add the curved surface area of the frustum, add the base surface area, and then the area of the top. So it's going to be this plus this plus this. I'm going to do it over here on the top, as I have no space, so I'm going to do 96 over 5 pi plus 9 pi, and then plus 81 over 21 pi. And then you use a calculator, put this into a calculator, and then you're going to get 98.8 centimeter. So you're going to get 98.8 to 3 significant figures, going to be 98.8 centimeters squared, okay? This was a long question, but I hope you understand how to do it. So you will just work out the area of the frustum, then the area of the base, and then the area of the top. So how did I get the radius of 1.8? So to get the radius of 1.8, these two are basically similar cones, okay? So the area, so the the slanted height is 10 for the big cone, and the slanted height for the small cone is 6. To get from 10 to 6, you multiply by 3 over 10. So to get from 3 to our radius of a small circle, you do 6 over 10 times by 3 to get 1.8, okay? So well done, guys, for getting that correct. Well, this question was worth 5 marks. 5-mark question. So that's good. So can I do another question like that? This question only comes in the higher paper. So when I do a higher paper, it probably should come on the next higher paper I do, okay? This is just frustums, okay? You can search up on like YouTube or something. You still don't get how I got 1.8 because the slanted height of our big cone is 10, as you can see. The slanted height of our small cone is 6. Now, from get 10 to 8, from to get 10 to 6, from to get 10 to 6, you times by 3 over 10, as I showed you over here. Now to get from 3, the radius of 3 to the radius of our small cone, you times by 6 over 10 as well. Okay? Okay, this is supposed to be 6 over here, okay? This is supposed to be 6 over here. 6 over 10, okay? So, this last bit over here. So this last bit over here, we work out the area of the base, which is pi r squared, because these are two circles, okay? Pi r squared, the radius is 3, and the radius is 1.8. Use your calculator to put them in, you get your radiuses. The areas. And then you add them on to the curved surface area of the frustum to get your total surface area. Okay? So now, are we ready to move on now? So, in the chat, tell me who likes 1 mark questions. Do you guys like 1 marker questions? Do you guys like 1 mark questions? They're 1 mark questions. Okay, guess what? The next question is a 1 mark question. Wow. So, Sana needs to draw the graph of y is equal to 3, then to the power of x, for 0, which is less than or equal to x, which is less than or equal to 4. She draws the graph shown on the grid. Write down one thing Sana has done wrong. What is one thing she has done wrong? What is that one thing she has done wrong, guys? Look at it very, very carefully. What has she done wrong? So we have y is equal to 3x, then q. We have y is equal to 3 and then power of x. What has she done wrong? So the thing... So Eri, so Eri or Eri, I hope I pronounced it correct. You got the right numbers, but you're supposed to swap it around, okay? You got 1 and 0, it's supposed to be 0, 1, okay? So, as you know, that if the x-axis is 0, if we do y is equal to 3 to the power of 0, whenever there's a number to the power of 0, you always get 1, right? So the coordinates for the first ever value is going to be 0, 1. Okay? Has to be 0 and then 1. But look over here. Sana starts from the origin point. She starts from 0, then 0. She starts from the coordinates 0, 0. The things that she done wrong, the graph should start from 0, 1, not 0, 0. These types of questions are very, very, very hard to find the actual mistake. As you can see, the mistake is literally right in the corner. That is why it came on that, like, one of the last questions. Very, very, very hard to spot. Very hard to spot. Like, in the chat, be honest if you found the mistake. Be honest if you found the mistake, like, the first time you saw it. Can you get the mark for just saying she started from the origin point? No, you have to also say where it needs to start from. Where it needs to start from. You should just say where it needs to start from and just say it shouldn't start from the origin point. Okay? how is it meant to be 0, 1? Is because we have the graph of y is equal to 3x. We have y is equal to 3 to the power of x. Now, if our x-axis, if our x value is 0, then y is equal to 3 to the power of 0, right? 3 to the power of 0 is equal to 1. This is equal to 1. So our first ever coordinate is going to be 0 to 1. Okay? Our first coordinate is going to be 0 and then 1. And that is how you would get it. Okay? So let's move on to our next question. Question number 20. Question number 20. Where did I get 0 from if it says x? Because this is the x-axis and 0 is on the x-axis and 0 is the value of x basically for this specific axis, okay? So let's move on to our next question, question number 20. So we have to prove algebraically that 0.1, then 2 recurring, and 3 recurring as well, can be written as 61 over 495. 61 over 495. So you have to prove it algebraically. So the first thing you would do is that we write it as x. So you're going to write 0.123, then 2 and 3 recurring. We're going to write it as x. Now, once you've written it as x, then you would write 10x. 10x, to get from x to 10x, you multiply by 10, right? And then 10x is going to be 1.23 recurring, like that, okay? Now you've gotten 10x. Now you're also going to find out 100x. You're also going to find, actually 1000x, sorry, you're going to find out 1000x. To find out 1000x, to get from 10x to 1000x, you're going to times by 100. So you're going to times this thing by 100 as well. So you're going to get 123.23 recurring. Now, as you can see, when we have 1000x and 10x, if we subtract them, the decimal places, the 2 and 3 and 2 and 3 will cancel each other out. So we're going to do 1000x minus 10x. Okay? So we're going to do 123.23 recurring minus 1.23 recurring. We did this to cancel out our recurring decimal places. So then you would get 122. So then we would write this as a fraction. So then we have 122. So we have 122 is equal to 990x. We have 122 is equal to 990x. Now to write as a fraction, you're going to make x the subject. So we're going to divide by 990 on both sides. So you're going to have x is equal to 122 over 990. And then when you put this into a calculator, you will simplify this, right? The calculator will simplify it for you. So that will be 61 over 495. And guess what? That is our fraction over here. And that is how we prove it. Okay? This was a 3-mark question. Easy 3 marks. So actually, we're nearly done with this paper, guys. So we only have 4 questions left. Four questions left. Okay? Let's move on to our next question. Yes, this is GCSE Higher. GCSE Higher Edexcel. So we have 21. Question number 21 is to solve 1 over x plus 4 plus 3 over 2 minus 2x is equal to 1. So what we're going to do is that we are going to do the normal thing you would do. So we have to like use the butterfly method, or someone in the chat is a smiley face method. That's the first time I ever heard of smiley face method. Like the term smiley face method. I always call it the butterfly method, but so it's the same process. So you multiply this, you basically cross multiply, and then you also multiply the denominator to get the common value. So it's going to be equal to 1, okay? So it's going to be 1, and then we have x plus 4 plus 3 over 2 minus 2x. Okay, we have this. Now, once we've done that, you're going to cross multiply them to make them to have the common denominator. So I'll put this in brackets now. So you do this 2 minus 2x times by this one's going to be in brackets 2 minus 2x, and they're going to also have this cross multiplied x plus 4, and to make them to have the common denominator, you're just going to do this x plus 4 over here, and then we're going to do 2 minus 2x over here. So now when you cross multiply them, you would then I'm going to expand the top bracket because they're single brackets, so it's going to be more easier. It's going to be 2 minus 2x, the top bracket expanded, and we're going to have 2 minus 2x, and then x plus 4, plus 3x plus 12, over x plus 4, and then 2 minus 2x. So, once you have done that, what we're going to do is that since they have the same denominator, we're going to merge these two fractions together so they have the same denominator. So, we're going to have 2 minus 2x plus 3x plus 12. So, merge the denominator together. And then since they have the same denominator, it's going to have 2 minus 2x, then x plus 4. And remember, guys, this is equal to 1. This whole thing is equal to 1. So, once we have done that, since this is equal to 1, we're going to get rid of our denominator and multiply it by our denominator. So we're going to multiply both sides by 2 minus 2x, and then x plus 4 from both sides to get rid of our denominator. So we're going to end up with 2 minus 2x plus 3x plus 12 is equal to 2 minus 2x, then x plus 4. So we got rid of our denominator. So the next thing we have to do is that we have to expand this double bracket. To expand this double bracket, so leave this left-hand side the same, which is equal to 2x minus 2x squared plus 8x minus plus 8 minus 8x. And then you will simplify this part over here. This will simplify both of these parts. So then when you simplify this, you will get 14 plus x is equal to 2x squared minus 2x squared, then minus 6x plus 8. Now, once we have done that, what we're going to do, we're going to move everything over here to this side. Everything over here. Okay? How do we get 14x? It's 14 plus x, okay? It's 14 plus x is a plus sign. 2 plus 12 is 14, then minus 2x plus 3x is going to be 14, okay? And this over here is going to be minus 2x squared. Then 2x minus 8x is going to give us minus 6x plus 8, okay? Okay? Now, once we have done that, you probably already noted that this is a quadratic. It's a quadratic, so this whole equation is going to be equal to 0. So then we're going to move every single thing over here. Okay, every single thing over here, move it. So then you're going to end up with 2x squared plus 7x plus 6 is equal to 0. Okay, so now once we have done that, move everything on this side. Okay, once we've done that, move everything to this side. This, we're going to use our AC method to factorize this out. Our AC method to factorize this, okay? This topic is called algebraic fractions. We're going to use our AC method to factorize this. And then we factorize this, you would get, so we're going to have 2x squared plus 7x. Where does the 7 come from? This 7 comes from when we do x plus 6 is going to be 7x, okay? Because when we move to this side, we're going to do the opposite. So we're going to do x plus 6x to get 7x, okay? So now when we're going to factorize this, we're going to split this up to like this to factorize this out. And then when you factorize this over here like that, then you can factorize to double brackets to 2x plus 3 and then x plus 2 is equal to 0. Okay? Now, once we have done that, we can easily find our two values of x. So now, in the chat, tell me what are our two values of x. Why did I split the x? I split the x because we had to factorize it, okay? We had to factorize this. That's why we split the x. Okay? So our x value is going to be minus 2. One of them is going to be minus 2. And then minus 2 over 3. It's going to be minus 3 over 2. Or minus 1.5, okay? It's going to be minus 2 or minus 1.5. So well done, guys, for getting that correct. So this question was worth 4 marks. So well done, guys. Yes, I thought it was going to be like 6 or 5 marks, but it just gave it 4 marks. Okay, let's move on to our next question, guys. So, 22. Given that the vector A, then 2, 6, plus B, 8 over 2 is parallel to the vector 13, 6. Find an expression for B in terms of A. So, when this is parallel, it means that they have the same gradient, basically. So, the first thing you would do is that you would just add them together. So vector, this type of vector question is quite confusing, actually. So you would do 2a plus 8b. So you would do 2a, so this part over here, 2a plus 3b, 8b, so you're going to do 2a plus 8b gives you 13x. We're going to label this 13x, okay? As you can see, it has given you 13x. Now, how often do I go live? I go live every single day. That's why you should follow. Okay, that's why you should follow. I did live every single day, literally. I don't think I missed any day unless I'm sick. So today I went live at 3 o'clock. It was because it was a Saturday. So now once we've done that, now what you would do is to get x on its own. To get x on its own, you would just divide every single term by 13. So you're gonna have 2 over 13a plus 8 over 13b is equal to x. Okay. What time do I go live on the weekday? So I go live on the weekday at around 6 to 7 o'clock on the weekdays. So that's Monday to Friday. This is a calculator paper. So now once we got the value of x, we got x. Now we're gonna do the same thing, but we're just going to do it for the bottom numbers. So we're gonna have 6a plus 2b, which is equal to 6x over here. 6x. So to find out the value of our x, we're going to divide every single one by 6. We're going to divide our whole equation by 6. So we're going to get plus a plus 2 over 6. B is equal to x. So we can literally just simplify this to 1/3. So now, once we have done that, so what we're going to do is that we are going to basically write this as like a one equation, because these both are equal to x. X is equal to x is equal to x. So we're going to put them together into one equation. So we're going to have 2 over 13a plus 8 over 13b, which is equal to this equation over here, a plus 1 over 3b. Okay. Now, once we have done that, we're going to move a to one side and b to one side. So it says in terms of a for b, so minus a from both sides. Actually, you would minus 2 over 13. So you do minus 2 over 13a on both sides. So then, once you've done that, you would end up with 8 over 13b is equal to 11 over 13a plus a third b. Okay? How did I get 1 over 3? Is because I divided this whole equation by 6. If we do 2 divided by 6, you get 2 over 6. 2 over 6 is the same as saying 1/3, okay? Okay? So now once we got this, I'm going to minus a third b on both sides. So how did I get 11 over 30? So when we subtracted 2 over 13a from both sides, we subtracted 2 over 30 from both sides, we do basically, this a is there's a big 1 in front of this a, right? So we do 1a minus 2 over 13a, which will give you 11 over 13a. Okay? Get it? So then to get rid of our b here, why are we subtracting our 2 over 13? Because it says to give you expression for b. So b has to be on the left-hand side. B has to be on the left-hand side, and a has to be on the right-hand side. So you're just moving them around to make that happen, okay? So then, when you subtract minus 3 over ab, so you get your common denominator, and then when you subtract them, so it's going to be 8 over 13b minus 1/3 b. That would just be 11 over 39b, okay? 11 over 39b. Now, when you subtract that, when you put this together, you would get 11 over 39b is equal to 11 over 13a. So we got this, right? Now, you want to simplify this. How will you simplify this? You would divide by 11 over 39 on both sides. So then you say the simplified version is going to be b is equal to 3a. Okay, that will be your answer. B is equal to 3a. It's in terms of b, so you don't want a coefficient in front of a b. Then you get b is equal to 3a, and that's how you would get your answer. So well done for getting that correct. I hope you understood it. If you have any questions, please ask. So, should we move on to our next question? So, where did 39 come from? 39, the denominator 39, we did it because the common denominator is going to be 39, and that's how you would do it. How did I get my final answers? Because I divided by 11 over 19 from both sides. So when you're dividing by fractions, you would do 11 over 13 divided by 11 over 19, which will get you 3. Why was x introduced in the first place? It was just because we had to make x the subject to work it out. Because x is parallel. This line is parallel. We just said it was x, okay? Let's move on to our next question. So where did 2 over 13a come from? So where's that? You're subtracting minus 2 over 13 from both sides because you wanted to get rid of this a. You wanted to get rid of this a, okay? So you subtract from both sides. So let's move on to our next question. So 4-mark question. So I think we only have 2 more questions left. So there's 4 and 5 markers. So a circle has equation x squared plus y squared is equal to 25. The point P with the coordinates of minus 3, 4 lies on the circle. Alex says that tangent to the circle at P crosses the x-axis at the center point of minus 8, 0. So Alex says that the tangent to the circle at P crosses the x-axis at the point minus 8, 0. Is Alex correct? So we have to draw this out. So we have a circle. Let's say we have the circle like this. And then we have our x-axis and our y-axis like that. And then we have our tangent over here. That should be minus 3, 4. That's basically point P. And then like that, okay? We have to show if it crosses the x-axis at minus 8, 0. Let's see if it does. So we have to, first of all, work out the gradient of the tangent first of all. So let's see the gradient of the tangent. So we know that the gradient is the change in y divided by change in x. So the gradient is equal to the change in y divided by the change in x. That's the gradient. That's the formula for the gradient. And then we know that the gradient of the radius, the gradient of the radius is going to be minus 4 over negative 3. Why? Because this is at 0. This point is 0, 0, okay? This point is 0, 0. that means that the gradient of the radius is going to be 4 over negative 3, okay? 4 over negative 3. Because the change in y divided by the change in x, okay? Now, once you have got the gradient, now we're going to find the gradient of the tangent. The gradient of the tangent. So, the gradient of the tangent is going to be equal to 3 over 4. So, well done for getting 3 over 4. It's going to be equal to 3 over 4. It's just a negative reciprocal, guys. It's just a negative reciprocal. That's what we get. 4 over negative 3 to 3 over 4. It's a negative reciprocal because it's perpendicular. So you can write 0.75 as well. And then now we're going to write the equation of the tangent. So now the equation of the tangent is equal to y is equal to mx plus c. So we're going to get 3 over 4x plus c. So now we just have to work out the value of a c, the y-intercept. Okay? So then, if you do this, to work out the value of c, we know that minus 3 over 4 is the coordinates that have passed through, that is on the tangent. So we have minus 3 and then 4. So you replace it with the x and the y. So you're going to have 4 is equal to 3 over 4. And then minus 3 plus c. And then you will get 4 is equal to minus 9 over 4 plus c. Remember, guys, it's the calculator paper, so you can use a calculator to work this out. And then you would get c, the y-intercept, is equal to, let's do it as a fraction, 25 over 4. And then let's write our equation, guys. So our proper equation for the equation of the tangent is going to be y is equal to 3 over 4x, which is our gradient, plus the y-intercept, which is 25 over 4. So now, once we work that out, what we're going to do is that we have to show if Alex correct, is it correct or not. So, what we're going to do is that it says it crosses the x-axis at when x, it crosses the x-axis when y is 0. So, crosses x when y is 0. So we have to work out if x is a whole number or if x is not a whole number. If x is not a whole number, that means he is wrong. Or, I mean, if it's recurring, then he's wrong. So, we're going to replace our y with our equation. We're going to have 0 is equal to 3 over 4x plus 25 over 4. So we're going to work out the value of our x. So this is 25 over 4. So we're going to work out the value of our x. So we're going to have, rearrange it. So you're going to have 0 is equal to 3x plus 25. Multiply by 4. And then would find the value of x. So you're going to have minus 25 over 3 is equal to x. And then when you put this into the calculator, you get x is equal to minus 8.3 recurring. Now you notice that minus 8.3 is recurring. That means it is minus 8.3 recurring 0, not 8 minus 8 0. That means he is wrong. Okay, so the answer is no, he is incorrect. Okay. So that was a 4-mark quiz. That was a bit hard, but you just had to know you had to work out the tangent. So this question is just combining the equation of a circle with the tangent with the x-intercept. So if you ask me for a topic, there is no topic for this question. They just combined every single thing together. Okay? can explain everything what I did in purple. So what I did is that we got our equation right. We have to prove that if he is correct, if it is minus 8, 0, okay? If it is minus 8, 0. So we got our x, we got our y value. We have to see if we have to see if x is minus 8. We have to see if x is minus 8. So you get your y-intercept, your y value, which is 0, which is equal to 30 over 4x plus 25 over 4. And then when you rearrange every single thing, then you get x is equal to minus 8.3 recurring. As you can see, minus 8.3 recurring is not the same as minus 8. That means he is not correct. Okay? If you substitute minus 8 instead of getting it equal to 0 and get x as 0, does that mean it's correct? It should be. But you should get this coordinates, okay? So let's move on to our next question, guys. Our last question. So our last question. Yes, I substitute the 0. I substitute the 0 into the equation to find x, okay? So we have our last question, guys. So we can still solve it by substituting it by 8, but you should get 0, okay? You shouldn't get 0, I mean. So, this question is worth 5 marks. So, there is a total of y counters in a box. There are x pink counters and 5 blue counters in a box. The rest of the counters are green. Freda takes at random 2 counters from the box. Find in terms of x an expression for the probability that Freda takes 2 counters from the same color. Give your answer as a fraction in the form ax squared plus bx plus c over dx squared plus ex, where a, b, c, d, and e are integers. This might look confusing, but you have to break this down. So, we know that by looking at this part over here, by looking at x, the ratio is 1 over 3. 1 over 3. That means that in terms of y is the total counters in the box. Y is the total number of counters in the box. So we know that x is the 1/3 of the counters are pink. We know that 1/3 of the counters are pink. We know that. The second thing we know is that there are 5 blue counters. They just gave that in the question. And then we know that the rest are green counters. Okay, the rest are green counters. Now, once you've done that, it says Freda takes 2 counters from the box. It has find in terms of x an expression for the probability that the Freda takes 2 counters of the same color. So, we know that we have to work out the probability if Freda takes 2 pink counters. Let's work out the probability to get 2 pink counters. To get 2 pink counters, you have to just do a third, which is the number of pink counters, times by x minus 1, which is total minus 1. And the number x minus 1, and then 3x minus 1, okay? Because you're taking 1 away from the counters because there are 1 less counter left. So then you will leave it like that. So we'll multiply it at the end, okay? And then you will find the probability of 2 blue counters. Then it's going to be equal to 5 over 3x, because that is the total counters, 5 over 3x, times by 4 over 3x minus 1. Remember, when we take a counter, we have one less counter. That's why we're subtracting by 1 after the second fraction. So then with the probability of getting 2 green counters, it is going to be 2x minus 5 over total counters. That is going to be times by 2x minus 6 over 3x minus 1. Okay? So basically what we are doing, for the people that are confused, we are basically finding the probability in algebra for the probability of 2 pinks, 2 blues, and 2 greens. Okay? You can also draw a probability tree diagram if you want, but the probabilities are going to be in algebraic like expressions. So it might be more difficult, but if you like a frequency like a diagram, then that will be alright for you. You can draw a diagram if you want. Okay. So then to work out the probability, we have to add every single one of them. Okay. So it's gonna be 1 over 3 times x minus 1 over 3x minus 1, probability of getting 2 pinks, plus 5 over 3x minus 4 over 3x minus 1, then plus 2x minus 5 over 3x times by 2x minus 6 over 3x minus 1. So you basically add all the probabilities together. So once you've done that, now what you're going to do is that you're literally now going to simplify this. How do I get 2x minus 6? Sorry. So how I got it is as I wrote over here, the rest are green. If the rest are green, that means that 2 parts of the ratio, that means 2x minus 5 is going to be green counters, okay? So why is it minus 5? Because we're subtracting by the blue counters as well. There are 5 blue counters as well. That is why, okay? So then we're going to multiply them. We're going to simplify it now. So now our next steps are just to simplify it until we get this form, okay? Simplify this whole long thing. Remember, guys, you have a calculator, so use the calculator, guys. So x minus 1. Then we have 9x minus 3 plus 20 over 9x squared minus 3x. And then plus, it's going to be plus 4x squared minus 12x minus 10x plus 30 over 9x squared minus 3x. So when I expand this whole thing, what you would do is that you would then you'll notice that we have this and this. So basically, you would just simplify it. So you add these two fractions together with the same denominator. You have these two fractions with the same denominator. So when you add them together, you will basically put them together and you will just have 5x squared minus 23x plus 50 over 9x squared minus 3x. And that will literally be your answer, okay? That's going to be your final answer. That's just the form. Okay? Why is it 2x minus 5 green counter? Is because it's going to be 2x because there's a third of the counters are pink. That means it's going to be 2 over 3. And then it's going to be 2x minus 5 because there are 5 green counters. So that's going to be a final answer, guys. This is the 2020 through 2023 paper, I think.